I hope you had a wonderful week. Well, today is the technically the last Sunday on formation, and then we're going into layer 2 next week. Remember, we did layer 1, and then we did formation, and then we're going back in. But you will find formation weaved into the process. So today we're going to talk about formation is slow. Formation is slow but certain. And if you're like me, you like for things to move fast. I was just thinking about something. Come here, Casey. Casey's a great example. He's my son. I use him a lot more. I tell Casey a lot of times. I tell him a lot of stuff a lot of times. But a lot of times when he goes to do something, he does it very fast. Now, I don't know why he does it very fast, but he has a tendency to do things when he does it. A lot of times he'll do it fast. Sometimes I think it's enthusiasm. Other times it's trying to see, I got this. I can do this, and let me do it fast. So we were at the river on Saturday. Yeah, my days are gone. We're on Saturday, and he was down there about 6 hours, and we had a friend of mine had 3 or 4 chainsaws. So I wasn't teaching, but just always going over the safety and what to be careful of, because chainsaws can injure you. So Casey cut a tree on his own. When I say that, I mean he did a tree. So he was moving, and I did tell him, I said, just slow down a little bit, because he was going to make the saw do more than it was supposed to do. He's like that. And he was moving real fast. Well, take that off and show them. He touched, when he was done, he touched the muffler. Ew, I felt that, didn't you? I mean, it's good. That is called a reaction. It's called a reaction. Now, if there's one thing about all the talking about chainsaws on Saturday, I can almost tell you he'll never do that again. Ever. Thank you. See, a lot of times when you hear teaching or whatever and you read stuff, you read it and it's no big deal. Wisdom is taking stuff and utilizing it so you don't have to have that. Because a reaction is going to create friction. I can really create friction. Our reactions attract people or repel people. They just do. My personality attracts people or repels people. The goal is to create a pleasing personality so that I attract more people. But I have a tendency to kind of repel people because I don't do a lot of preliminary talk. It's just like, boom! Huh? So I was asking someone 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, okay, you know me pretty well. Tell me a word that you would describe me that I can work on about me. And I was looking at the individual like, be careful here. But I got a great one word. the individual told me, sometimes you can be overwhelming. And that doesn't mean overwhelming like I'm all that. But it means overwhelming that the valve is too fast, too quick, too intense for a simple question. It's like 10 minutes later, you're like trying to, it's like a fire hydrant. And I don't do that intentionally. It's a trigger. You triggered me. So I have to pause and say, now what are you really asking? What do you really want? What is enough that will help you instead of drown you? So I'm going to get me a tattoo, overwhelming. So here for a minute, formation. We're going to talk about formation again. And then we're going to have triggers in here and some other things. But anyway, formation is not a new word. Let me help us with formation in this process we're going through. Formation is transformation. Formation is renewal. If I could encourage you on one thing, do not, and I'm using this absolute, do not let formation condemn you. Formation is not condemning you, it's exposing you. That's big, because you can feel condemned by looking at your reactions in a negative way, that I just can't get this, I'm worse than others, I'm really jacked up, don't condemn yourself and beat yourself up. It's exposing what's in you that is coming out. So see it as exposure, as a mirror, and not as condemning and as a threat or an accusatory towards you. But formation is just the word we're using for transformation. It is the same. Transformation is forming you into the image of Christ instead of you being formed into the image of that. So with that said, let's read Isaiah 30:15. We'll start with this scripture here to anchor it. Lord Yahweh. Remember, Yahweh is not, that is one of God's actual names. God is not a name. Like if you call me pastor, pastor is not my name. It's a title. God is a title. It's not his name. His name is Yahweh and covenant keeper, and Abba is his relational name, Father. Okay? So you could say Lord Yahweh or Lord Abba, however you want it. The Holy One says, come back to me by returning and resting. That is so good. Because what is he saying to us? I want you to return to me and rest instead of striving and performing. He's calling us out of performance. He's calling us out of striving. He's calling us out of this work-based mentality into an identity rest mentality where we're in a relationship. He says, return and rest in me. Notice this absolute. You will be. You will be. I mean, that's, if you return and rest, you will be in quietness and trust, and you will be made strong. So he's saying if we return and rest, we're going to have quietness, no drama, no strife, no contention, that tension part, and you'll be strong. You'll be strengthened. So when we're looking at formation, that is returning to a place that we were designed to be in the beginning, and we were to rest in the beginning. So he's calling us out of busyness and these things back to a place of identity and back to a place of union. Okay, so that's what we're launching today. So week one, remember week one of formation, it showed us the original version of ourselves. That was the what version shows up. We talked about that. Week two, It showed us you're not reacting, you're re-experiencing. And then last week, we keep doing what you said you wouldn't do. And this week is formation is slow, but it's certain. So if we see what's going on in our lives and we understand it, then why is it, we understanding the process, we understanding the pause, why is it appearing so slow? Because I admit it's slow, very slow. And we like to give up on things that are slow. We want to move to things that are fast. When I go home back in South Carolina, I was thinking about this the other day when I had to leave the house and run to Porter's Neck Lowe's. And I was thinking about how fast that trip is. I jump in that, hit I-40, run 78 down to 416, swing off that ramp at 50 miles an hour, and I'm at 78 miles an hour. I take exit 25 right there at 78 miles an hour, come to a stop, whip it out, turn right, I'm in there. I do more in, I'm not going to lie to you, I do more I do more in 1 week than people in South Carolina do in a month. Well, that's my home. That's my peeps. In the whole state, yeah. I do more in 1 day than they do all week. Because they like this to the car. They 45. They do not have a fast pace. When they get there, they get there. That's some slow people. At our formation table, and I'm not going to say who was at my formation table, but everybody at my formation table has traffic emotional problems. They all get triggered by traffic. I don't want to ride with any of those people. See, formation is slow. It's slow, but it's certain. It's slow, but it's never random. This formation is a process that's getting us to where we go. So formation, just to define formation, this is some things I have. Formation is not trying harder. That's performing again. It's not about trying harder. It is about becoming different over time. We're not trying to try harder to do better. This is about you. This is the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. This is a slow process over time, and that everybody, you see all the pictures of the butterfly coming out, and you see the caterpillar. But that process in between is very slow, and it's not very pretty. It's kind of dull. It's kind of boring. That's what formation is. Christ-likeness is the butterfly. You were the caterpillar. This process of formation is not a pretty process. It's not anything to brag about. You don't have any evidence of anything. It will come later, okay? See, formation is when your default responses change. If our defaults don't change, then formation has not occurred. It's that reaction that happens. So let's talk a little bit about what actually makes formation slow. What makes it slow? I want to show you. What makes it slow is you're being rewired. It's a whole new wiring process. You're creating new brain neural pathways. There's actually a rewiring inside your metaphysics and your physiology and your emotions. There is a rewiring process that occurs, and that is a slow process. You can build a house quicker new than you can renovating it. Renovating is a lot harder because you got to deal with previous architects, and why did they do it like that? Why didn't they do it this way? This doesn't make sense. So you're dealing with these things that doesn't make sense, that you didn't even realize you were creating through your environments and your upbringing and your response. So now going back in and rewiring this is a whole big deal. Every repeated reaction strengthens your pathway. So it's like this. Okay? You do this one time. It's not a big deal. You do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. This is your pathway. So now, someone's telling you, pause. You're going to get off this multi-lane pathway onto this. Now, which are you most comfortable with? Which is faster? So now, this, I don't know if that really works. This is not familiar. So this right here is the contrast that you're fighting, because I am used to doing it in the broad pathway. Give it some time. This happens because of repetition. It took you years. Look at how old you are, and you can say, that's how many years I've been working on this. And then you say, my mom's just like this. Now you've got compounded interest. And my grandmama, and generational. So you can have this wide pathway that you're so used to working on that it is very, very difficult to create this new neural pathway. Now I know you say, what does this have to do with church? It has to do with church, and the simple fact is we want to be like Christ after our decision to follow Christ. But broad is the way. Narrow is the gate. This hadn't got you where you want to go, and this is what you're going to have to follow. This is mass mentality. This is Christ mentality. It's a process. And you have to see where you're going and what you're going to become and keep that before you so you'll keep doing it. Okay, does that make sense? So our brain is wired for efficiency. It's wired. Your brain is like a computer. Why do you upgrade your computer? Efficiency. So your brain is wired for efficiency, and repetition creates automatic patterns. That's why you have cheat codes. That's why you have Control-Alt-Delete, Control-Alt-P, Control-Alt-C, Control-Alt-A. These are all quick pathways of repetition to get you without going through the whole process. Once you do something, listen, this is so good. Your brain does not function off truth at all. Your brain functions off familiarity. If it sees you like something, it has no morality to it to decide whether, but this isn't good, I'm not. If it sees you are repeating the pattern to pornography, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to give you a shortcut to it. If it sees that you have a reaction to traffic, okay, I'm going to create a shortcut to it. It is there to make you efficient and effective in what you're doing, regardless, right or wrong, good or bad. It is there to help you. It is not there to make you more Christian. That's why it says you got to renew your mind. Making sense? Are we following this? So repetition creates the automatic patterns, and what you repeat becomes your default. Those three things are big. So you're changing your default, you're breaking the patterns so that you can be more efficient. See, I'm very efficient at creating tension. So funny. And we say this. Oh, it's acting up, babe. My wife tells me it's got a mind of its own today. So this is something I've said, you said, and I've heard everybody say. This is just how I am. This is who I am. No, what you're saying is, this is how I trained my brain to be. It is not how you were created. It's not how you are. It's how you created or you trained your brain to be. So, here's a question for you. I'm not going to call any names, but someone tell me. In your day, how many actual conscious decisions do you think you make? Okay, I will call your name because I know everybody's name. I don't have a photographic memory. Okay. 50 to 100 intentional decisions a day. Anybody else? Oh, percent. That's not percent. What'd you say, David? David said 5. Come on, give me a number. Let me help you. If I was to actually agree with anyone's number, I might would agree with David's. Because see, 95% of everything you do is habits and patterns. Your brain has already figured out what you're going to do or whatever, and you think, listen to me, this is so big. You think you are choosing, but you actually are running programs. That's the deception. We think we are making a decision, but your brain is running a program, and you are just letting that script run. And you're following the script that is coming to you, but making a conscious decision requires pause. Now, 95% of everything we do is unconscious. That's called efficiency. You don't think about blinking, you don't think about breathing, you don't think about your blood pressure, you don't think about any of it. It's just everything is working on systems and patterns and scripts, and we function that way, and that's what makes us efficient. That's what we say we multitask or we do more than one thing. See, so what is this actually saying here? It is actually saying your future is not determined by what you want, but by what you repeatedly do. See, we want our future to change, but if we do not decide about our future, I would like to retire at 40. I would like to buy a new car in 2 years. Those are wants, but if you keep repeatedly doing what you're doing right now and you have not retired yet and you don't have a new car yet, then you will not get a new car later, or you won't retire at 40 because you've got to change the operating patterns that you're working on that's got you to this place. Wherever you are, you're running on a system that got you here. In order to get where you want, you got to change that system. And what do the church teach you? You need to pray more. Pray more does not change a system. That's activity. Hello, y'all with me? And it feels like, when you think of this, it feels like you don't have a choice in this process. When you actually do, you do have a choice, but you don't have a choice unless you pause. So I switched out, or Diane and I, we switched out from Spectrum. I'm a big Starlink fan now. I tested in the mountain. It works great. So we had a online or site, what is it called? Wi-Fi inside. It was FCC 666 or something like that. So we went with Starlink, and our new one is My Lady. What was the last one? My Lady? 726. Now y'all know. Now y'all can go right by my house and get on my Wi-Fi. Y'all ever there, you need my Wi-Fi. Here it is. Okay? So our printer runs wireless. So the printer and laptop is running off FCC 666 Spectrum. So we changed up with Starlink, changed the laptop, but the printer would not accept this. It would not accept Starlink. It was a little outdated. It was an 8-year-old printer. It couldn't read the new programs and algorithms and connection process. So I had to get a new printer. Okay? So we got a new printer, got it hooked up, functioning. I go back in there to print, it's offline. It keeps coming back to this. Even though it's brand new, it keeps jumping to this because this is available. So I have to go in because I'm offline. How many of you is offline this morning? You have to go in and change this and put it back on this. After this happened 2 or 3 times, I went over here and said, forget this device or network. It moves it out. Now it can't go to that. It only has to stay here. Are y'all following my process here? Okay? This is default. And when it's available, you will jump. See, you have got to, most of the time we're running offline, and we've got to, when you're not pausing, you're offline. When you pause, that pause is a choice to come back online to what you're supposed to be. This is so practical. That's what I want it to be, practical. So we can get this process. Y'all with me? We're going to get some good stuff here in a minute. So why does it feel like we don't have a choice in this? You have 2 brains. You have a fast brain and a slow brain. You know the difference in the two? Fast brain. Lacey, this is our fast brain. Emotional. Slow brain is decisional. What was said? Because well, if I say you have a slow brain, that doesn't sound good. If I say you have a fast brain, you have a brain is all I was saying. We have a fast brain and slow brain. The issue with the fast brain is it moves faster than you can think. It reacts before your slow brain even thinks. It's just boom. And then you say, did I just say that? I mean, your brain is catching up to your emotions because this is fiber optic and this is dial-up. This is AOL and this is fiber optic. We respond fiber optically, but then our thinking brain dials up. This is so practical. See, the emotional brain is instant, it's memory driven, it's patterns, it reacts, it runs on familiarity. Thinking brain is slow, it pauses, it processes, it decides, and makes intentional choices like Kevin. So, what do we have here? We have trigger. The trigger hits. Boom. And then we have the emotional, notice this, hits. The emotion fires. The pattern runs. Hello? Y'all with me? Oh, there it is. Well, that's close. We'll go get to that in a minute. We're not there yet. But anyway, the trigger hits, the event happens, bam. Your emotion fires, and then the pattern runs. That's how quick this is. This right here, what is this? This is external. Something externally pushes your buttons. Stimuli. And right here, this happens automatic. Emotion. No thing. That's automatic. That's your patterns running there. And then when you get to here, the pattern, that's learned behavior kicks in. And then what do? Justify it. This is who I am. This is who I am. This is me. This is my personality. It's not your personality. I wish we could strip down how much of you is actually you. How much of you is really your mama? How much of you is really your daddy? How much of you is really TV and Hollywood? I mean, is your style really your style, or is it someone on TV? I mean, did you go and buy the shoes you bought because of the commercial, or did you buy them because of... How much of you? I mean, you had to be influenced to be a Tar Heel fan. Or a Duke fan. What influenced you to choose the team you like? Someone influenced you. Winning. Who influenced you to take your shirt off in the stands and it's snowing? Wow! Alcohol. Oh, in worship, who influences you to raise your hands or to not raise your hands? Does the raising of the hands, are you influenced by God? Or the not raising the hands of, well, what will people think? I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying how much of what we actually do really comes from conscious, intentional decisions or comes from what will people think, what will people say. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be laughed at. I don't want to. I don't know how much of me is me. I'm learning how much of me is me. Call me little me. I'm like little mini me. The pause is so important because it's your choice coming back online. The pause is big. Now, I got 3 things I wrote here because when I was writing, I could have wrote more, and I said, no, I'm going to stop here because it's a rabbit trail me. Change is not about removal, it's about replacement. Well, my wife likes that. That's good. That's good, really good. Really good. Change is not about removal, it's about replacement. Now change that to religion. Religion manages behavior, formation changes what we produce. See, religion never removes anything about us. It just wants to suppress it, control it, and that formation is changing in you what produces sin. See, religion teaches you how to control and prune sin instead of removing it, and as soon as you get out of church, you produce it. As soon as you go on vacation, you produce it. When you go on vacation and act up, vacation didn't do that. It was always there. How about this one? Religion tells you to stop, formation trains you to replace it. This is why it's so important. See, formation feels slow. Where's Braxton? Braxton, did you ever, how tall are you? You actually don't know how tall you are. You've not measured. No one's measured you. That's impressive. Because about every 5 minutes I would be measuring myself. How tall do you think he is? Say 5'10". Now, if you notice, that's just happened in the last year. I imagine he thought that he was never going to get tall. Okay? It's happened pretty fast. See, the reason formation seems slow is because you have to outgrow your old patterns. You don't get to just go in and delete them. You've got to outgrow these old patterns, and that is slow. My height is very slow, but I still am confident. This is how I want you to see formation. Every reaction you repeat is a vote for the person you want to become. So if your reaction is negative, then that's what you want to become. You're voting for that. You're widening it. If you want to become like Christ, you're voting to become like that. Just know that every reaction you execute is a vote that you're telling your life, this is what I want to become. Does that make sense? How many of you feel that you're not making much change? Raise your hand. Okay, I got some positive things for you. I would tell you who the first hand was up, but I won't. Because someone's hand was up really fast. But I want to tell you something. I want to help you. That's a little slow. You'll catch up with that one. I want to help you look at yourself in a positive way. This is how you know you're changing. Don't look at the outcome. Look at this. You notice triggers quicker. If you're noticing a trigger, you're making change. That's good. You feel conviction sooner. You recognize when you trigger That happened real quick. You pause even once. That's changed from the way you used to do it. You don't go as far. That's big. You don't go ahead and say everything you want to say. You may say one word, no, I got to pause. That's progress. And you recover faster. So if you see these changes, know you're making changes. It's just slow. Don't beat yourself up on this. You're making changes. And change starts when you stop agreeing with old patterns. Just look at somebody beside you and say, you're in the middle. You're in the middle. The tension is you're in the middle. What does that mean? What is this middle that I'm talking about? You're not who you were. You're in the middle. You're here. You ever seen those little things? You're here. You're not who you were. W-U-R-E, were. I'm just having fun. Amelia's back there like, what word is that? That's not, we're not my English. I'm from South Carolina. I make up words. I'm waiting for Rachel and Kevin to come in and say, hi, y'all. We know their formation is coming. You're not who you were. You're here, but you're not yet who you are becoming. If you don't get all that, just figure it out. You watch video later. You not. That doesn't. There's a word missing. You not. What's it supposed to be? You are not. Or you're. Everybody's going to leave us offline, David. Kevin told me the other day, he said, we come because I like what you say. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I even like what I'm saying in this moment. Anyway, you're here. Figure out what's in your past and what's in your front. Let's get this off because this is going to mess me up. See, the tension is not failure. Remember, tension. You got to have tension. The tension is not failure it's formation working. The tension is change is working. So see that tension as change in formation occurring. Don't see it as failure. You got to see it as the new identity as a forming of who you're called to be. Right, Rob? All last week I called Rob Bob. I said, how's that, Bob? And I noticed he looked at me like, who's Bob? But his name is Rob, not Bob. I'm cracked up here. Must be that dispensary down there blowing smoke up here. Don't tell anybody about this. The church will get full over. What if I say this? Formation is slow because maybe you're delaying it. Let's talk about that. It's not that when I say that maybe some of us are delaying it, maybe it's not intentional delaying it or that we're not wanting to change, but because, Christy, we're protecting old patterns. Let me give you two words, consistent and selective. Okay? Consistent means if you are consistent on formation, you'll have steady change. If you're selective on your formation, you go keep the same cycle. I want to suggest we have selective moments instead of consistent change. And that makes it even more slow. Consistent means steady change. Selective means you go stay in the same cycle. It's a selective moment. How about this? You interrupt it sometimes, but you agree with it at other times. Come on, talk to me, Mitch. Sometimes we catch it, but other times we don't stop it because this fits the moment. So that creates this same cycle, and we say, well, I'm trying, but trying is not the issue. It is consistent. They tell you in parenting, be consistent. It confuses them when it's situational. Let me give you a couple of things. What you tolerate, you train. What you tolerate is training you. What you excuse, you extend. Come on. What you confront, you change. That's a message right there. What you tolerate, you train. What you excuse, you extend. What you confront, you extend. Now, I told Lacey we was going to get into some good stuff. And here we go. 5 ways. 5 ways. Everybody say 5. 5 ways we delay our change, and 5 ways we protect our patterns. Okay? Number 1. We justify it. How do we justify it? That's how I respond under pressure. That's how I respond to mom. Anyone would react this way. Isn't that justification? Anyone. And we tell that to people, and the people say, I know, I would too. See, that just affirmed it and anchored it and cemented it. And here's one. Give what happened, I had every right to react that way. No, you do not. I watched Diane, and I was watching something last night, and you see it sometimes in TV shows where something happens to someone's family member or whatever, and usually the dad or someone, they go out and they find this person who they assume did it, and they beat them up, and just beat them to a pulp. And come to find out, they didn't have evidence. The law enforcement was still trying to figure out who did it, but they took it in their own hands, and they go, I know so-and-so did it. And they just bam, 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 and beat them all up. I said, you know what? And a lot of times there is, well, given what happened, I understand why you do that. No, I don't. If someone comes beats me like that, and you're totally wrong, one, I'm going to sue you. And two, I'm going to press charges. It does not justify when you do not have facts to have an emotional response to go and hurt someone in your anger. Regardless how unjust your situation is, you cannot be unjust to other people. Now, we're not talking about once the law, no bail, whatever. We're not talking about that. But we're talking about you in your pain, your hurt, your emotion, acting out and hurting someone, okay? So we justify it. When we justify something, what is that saying to us? What we're saying whenever we justify it. Now, I do all 5 of these. You may not. I do all 5. But we justify it. You make it reasonable so you don't have to change. When we justify it, we are giving a reason why we do not have to change with that justification. Under the pressure, under the situation. It makes sense. The way we should say, this makes sense, but it's not how I want to be. And I'll probably, time-wise, I'll send you some updates, email, that'll go more in depth because time won't let me of how in that moment. So when we give explanation and when we justify it, explanation keeps it alive and ownership starts to kill it. You have to own it instead of justifying it. If you explain it, it won't change. Number 2, we justify it. Number 2, we rename it. I'm not angry, I'm passionate. I'm not angry, but I'm real passionate. We ever said that? I have. We rename it. No, you're angry. I'm not controlling. I just like for things to be done this way. You are a controller. But we rename it. I just like it done right. Controller. How many of those do we have? Don't raise your hand, don't raise your hand, don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. We already knew you were, Lisa. And the way those two, maybe Lacey is too. I'm just saying. Not accusing, not pointing fingers. We can read body language. I'm not avoiding, I just need space. My people meter is full. I need, no. You're renaming it. Hello? I think I'm riding shotgun with some of you. See, we soften this so we don't have to confront it. We soften it so we don't have to confront it. So we rename it. Call it what it is. That's where change comes. What you refuse to name, you will never change. Okay? Is this helpful? Is this meeting your standard back there, Lacey? Third, we blame it. Ooh, they triggered me. They pushed my buttons. If they just wouldn't do that. This always happens when I'm around them. You know what? You know what blame it does? You hand your response away. The way we should respond, They may have triggered it, but I choose how I'm going to respond. When they do it, then that means they're controlling me. They own me. So every time I'm around them, they can say certain things or do certain things, and it's going to cause me to reaction. Do you know people that are really good at stuff will do that to get a reaction? Like I said, I'm a troll. When I troll, I can get things out of people. I can say things that's going to get racism out. I can say things that's going to get insecurity out. You can do that, and when that response comes, that's letting you know there's something in me that hasn't been dealt with. We should get to the place of maturity. It doesn't matter. I mean, just think about this, and this is just a great example, not political. All you have to do in many circles is just say, Trump. I mean, it just triggers stuff in people that go, I mean, how does a person you've never met, you don't know, trigger such stuff? It's amazing. Triggers reveal they don't control you. Uh-oh. How you say it? Spiritual? Oh, for those that want to spiritualize it. I'm waiting on God. I'm praying about it. In God's timing. If it's His will. You are delaying action with language. Last one, number 5. Is this good? Now, see what gets me in trouble when I'm with people. I'm like, why are you renaming that? Why are you spiritualizing that? Why are you justifying it? And they just create tension. Minimize it. It's not that big of a deal, Kevin. At least I'm better than I was. That was just such a small thing. You're sensitive. You know what that is called? It's called shrinking to avoid it. Shrinking to avoid dealing with that issue. So we minimize it. It's not that big of a deal. What you tolerate today trains you for tomorrow. That's pretty good. We got our, oh, look at there. There. Go to the pattern. I told Rihanna back there. Y'all know who Rihanna is? What's her name? Yeah. That's what I was calling. Said she looked like Rihanna this morning. She's like, really? The response path. This is big, remember? As the teacher says, you might want to remember this. This is the response path. Okay? 1. Oh, you can't see. Can y'all see? No good. You recognize, you pause, you surrender, and choose. This is what we have to learn. You recognize what's going on. You pause. You take a breath. You sit on it for a second. See, we don't need something new. We just need to use what works. It's 11:54. I'm going to show y'all something real quick. What pattern do you see clearly now? Which way do you protect it? Where have you seen a small shift? What would it look like if you stop agreeing with it? That's what this is right here. What pattern do you see clearly? Which way do you protect it? Where have you seen a small shift? And what would it look like if you stopped agreeing with it? I got to finish. I'm going to show you something. If you quit now, you interrupt. If you were to stop right now, you interrupt what's already taken place in your life. Don't quit. It's just as slow for me as it is for you. If you stay, what feels slow will become natural. It will change. And then we'll go read this scripture. Go to Philippians 1:6. I pray with great faith for you. This is how we should pray for each other, especially at the formation tables and when we know people. I pray with great faith for you because I am fully convinced that the one who began this gracious work in Rachel, in Lacey, in Amanda, in Shakima, in Wayne, in Rob, will faithfully continue the process of maturing you until the unveiling of our Lord Jesus Christ. That tells you that's a process. My line to take home, every reaction you repeat is a vote for the person you're becoming. Now, I want you to look at that clock back there. It's 11:56 and I'm done. I got them.